Right, let's go. So welcome everyone. This webinar, as you know, is the fourth of a series of 7 related to Marketing Cloud on Core. Thank you very much for being here. Yes, the session is being recorded and the deck will be shared. I would like to say a huge thank to Gilda and JB for making this possible. In today's session, we will be hands-on in Marketing Cloud on Core and Data Cloud. Next screen. There we are. Okay. I'll have the privilege to be the main speaker today, and Claudia and Erin will present sessions 2, and we'll reply to all your questions in the chat window. We'll have a Q&A at the end, which is very important to answer every of your question. Next slide. This is a slide you already know. Please take your buying decision based on what already exists inside as a Salesforce offer. So let's get building, because this is the theme of the webinar today. So you are the marketing team of Coastal Boat Rentals. This is something we've already done on the previous session, if you remember correctly. We created a reservation object so that our customers can rent boats, and we will be building on that. Your company is absolutely obsessed with the customer satisfaction, and actually it is its North Star metric. That is, this is the main metric they want to see grow over time. And to effectively report and follow this metric, you must automate the collection of customer surveys. So this will be customer satisfaction will be the main theme today of what we are going to build. And something which is also of interest, your company also really like WhatsApp as a communication channel. And so this is what we are going to build on. So in the previous session, we created a custom object. That custom object was mapped to a data stream object. The data stream object was associated with the data lake object, which was mapped to a new object we created. But there is something lacking in all this. It is the rating. And you discussed with your data cloud admin, and you decided that you would create, and that he or she would create inside your Marketing Cloud on Core and Data Cloud, a new field on the custom object, so that every reservation for a boat will actually be able to collect a rating, and this rating will be used to be aggregated inside the overall metric, the North Star metric of your rental company. Then we will create a calculated insight, which is something very important inside Marketing Cloud on Core. And then we'll see how to display this. So the first part will be dedicated to adjusting the data model so that we can gather all the information we need. Then we will collect this information using a form, and then we will promote that collection of information using a segment triggered flow. So a lot to cover, actually. This one will go back later on. Here, let's go directly to the tool. We are in Marketing Cloud on Core here. As we've said, we've already created some records, and in the custom object, our admin added. So let me share with you a report. Here, we created a custom field called rated, that some of the contacts here, we are dealing with contacts inside Salesforce, have already filled, and some haven't yet. So regarding this information, we want to relate this to the whole data model. And so we are going to open, for instance, the contact, the first contact here. So let's open it that way. Okay. So here we are opening the reservation of Lauren Bailey. We see she has 2 reservations. And let's see other records, for instance, that one and that one that I've already created. You see we have Miss Sarah Phillips, which has 1 reservation, and another Miss Sarah Phillips, which has 2 reservations, So what's really important there is that, if you remember correctly, we have the contacts who are in sync with the individuals. And the contacts are related to boat reservation as well as individuals are related to the DMO bot individuals. But something which is very important here, and that we may see on the following diagram here, is that in Salesforce you have Sarah Phillips 1, which is a contact, which has one reservation, which has two reservations, and you also have a Phillips contact, Sarah Phillips 2, sorry, which is another contact, which has only one reservation. At the end of the day, they are the same person. They all are Sarah Phillips, and the unified identity, the identity resolution process, will create a unified process, a unified individual out of these two individuals, and every individual will be related to the reservation. But the issue we are facing here, the problem we are trying to address, is that whenever we are creating a unified individual, here we have 3 records, and we want those 3 records to participate to the average rating of Sarah Phillips. Sarah Phillips as a whole being composed of distinct records of the same person. So this is what we are going to address by creating a calculated insight. But before we do this, let's add some information relating to adding a field. I've already added the field in the instance because it takes some time. Whenever you add a field to DSO, for instance, you will have a complete refresh. Normally, the complete refresh is triggered every two weeks. Something very important as well is that when you discussed with your Data Cloud admin, you decided with her or with him that you would also have the need to have access to this information, to the reservation at the unified individual level. So that in the sense of Data Cloud, in the Data Cloud words means that you added the bot reservation to the data graph so that you can use it to personalize your emails, to personalize your decision flow, your decision splits inside your flows, and so on. So let's see how it looks there. And let's have a look at the data graph to see how it was added. So let's go to Data Cloud here. And let's go to our data graph. I can find them. There they are. Okay, this is the one we're using by default. And as you may see, we've already added, when the data graph loads, we've already added all the information related to the bot reservation. So if we want to have a look for a given unified individual at what may be the view of a data graph, you can go to the Data Explorer, which is the way to go whenever you want to see data. And this is something I encourage you to do to be sure that your data is exactly the one you want it to be. So here you have a data graph, and here we will select the data graph that we are actually using. We have all the data graph here. I am going to select the data graph related to a unified individual of Sarah Phillips. So I believe this is the one I collected. Yes, okay. So here I will filter this view. So I'll quickly add a filter to the unified individual. Enter the unified individual ID, which I already collected. And then click done and click apply. And then we will see here the data graph associated to this specific unified individual. So here we will find our reservations, for instance, here they are, and the first reservation, and we will also find the reservation for the second record, which the unified individual is composed of, that is the second contact. So that is very important because whenever you will add a merge field or variation inside your emails, or whenever you will want to filter or to make a decision split inside your flows, which is something we'll definitely see later, those information will come from this data graph. So it's very important to ensure that the data graph has all the information you need, and this part of the data modeling is really a key thing in using Marketing Cloud on Core and Data Cloud. So I was saying that whenever you are adding a field, a full refresh will be performed. This is why pre-created the field, not to have to wait for the refresh of everything. You should know that DSOs and DLO refresh every 10 minutes in an incremental sync. And the data graph is really important because this is where we will embed all the actionable information that you will actually need. So here, this is where we are. We have data graph, we have ratings at each reservation records. We have individuals which are gathered together inside unified individual, and those unified individuals have access to all information related to the boat renting and the boat reservation. So what we want to do here is to create for each unified individual the average rating for every reservation that the customer has already had with us. And so basically what we are trying to do is to add what we call a calculated insight. That calculated insight will be related to the unified individual, and then I will be able to display it at the unified individual, but also at the contact level, because at the contact level in Salesforce, I can add widgets coming from Data Cloud and displaying information which will be related to all the reservation that I have here. And once this is done, I will have made a big step into the data model I need to be able to perform my rating collection. And then we will be able to create forms, to create landing pages, and to have everything seamlessly integrated inside Data Cloud and inside Marketing Cloud on Core. So how do we create a calculated insight? This is very easy, and this is something I encourage you to do whenever there is a metric which is important for your business. You can create a calculated insight. So first thing first, you create into Data Cloud the calculated insight. There are distinct options. Here we'll go with the Visual Builder. We'll create a calculated insight there. This is what we want to do, not a streaming insight, which is real time. Get started. And here we will start by adding data sources. That is, whenever new information will flow into Data Cloud, the calculated insight will be updated. So here I will take my boat reservation object. There we go. And there I will have, because this is something I need at the end of the process, I will join this with some unified individual. So I will select the unified individual inside the interface. Okay. So let's check, let's select the unified individual, and there we go. Here some magic will happen, and some joins, which are SQL joins, will be made, and we will see that the individual object and the unified link individual will be added. The unified link individual are actually objects that are linking individuals and unified individual. This is something very important. This junction object is called link inside Data Cloud, and you have the same linking, for instance, your unified individual with the unified individual contact point email, which is used to send emails to a given unified individual. So here it may take some time. We'll wait for this. There's something I've already pre-created. This I wanted to show, but if it takes 2 minutes. Okay, so there we go. It's okay. So as I was just saying, you got the boat reservation. We made a join on the unified individual, and the individual and the unified link individual were added. And so here we have a new object, which we created out of this information that we get from Data Cloud. And this information we will then aggregate to create the average rating for a given individual based on the records we have for every registration. So here we'll add a measure, which is basically what we are reporting on. So we'll click the average and we'll select the rating thing here. Let's call it rating, for instance. Okay, rating. I'll apply this, and here we'll create a group, which means in a SQL group, which means that we will have at the end of the process a new calculated insight, with 2 columns, unified individual ID and the average of every reservation that was previously made by our users. So here, let's select unified individual ID. There we go. I will call it unified individual ID. Okay, apply this. And there we have it. With no more work, we've created a metric which will be able to embed in whatever wherever we want in the at the contact level, at the unified level, and so on. So here, let's go. I'll discard the changes because, as I said, I already created this calculated insight, because calculated insight is created and then it needs to be refreshed. And this is a 1 hour frequency max. So I wanted to have data to show you here. So this is why I pre-created the calculated insight. So let's see how that looks. Here, let's go at the, let's open the unified individual that corresponds to the two Sarah Phillips, that aggregates the two Sarah Phillips. So there we'll open it. So let's go to Data Cloud. There is something very handy, which is Profile Explorer, which you can use for this to display a given unified individual, which you already know the ID. Here, there we go. I'll search for this. And there I will be able to open my unified individual. So here I have the information that the identity resolution gave me for this unified individual. Here I added a very handy widget to see which individual are involved inside this unified individual. And I also added the satisfaction widget, which is the calculated insight. And so here we see that we have this information, which is the average of all the reservations that were previously made by all the persons embedded inside the unified individual that we are seeing here. So this is very handy because we now have just to create new reservations to add a rating, and then we will have for everybody the whole thing in sync, and then we'll be able to display this information wherever we want. Here we display the information at the unified individual level, but what's really important and what's the very intent we had at the very beginning is to embed this at the contact level, so that whenever you are going to Salesforce here, so I will open the first Sarah Phillips and then the second. Okay, here I added the calculated insight. So here for this reservation, you see that there is only one reservation for this specific person, but at the unified individual level, I have the average for all the reservation. And the same is true for the second Sarah Phillips, where I have a rating, which is the same. So here we created for every unified individual, which comes from your data from Salesforce, a calculated insight, which gives the average, which represents how satisfied that specific unified individual, that is the person underlying, which made reservation previously, are happy with your services. So this is what we have created here. We have distinct reservation, the contact, we created the calculated insight, added the calculated insight at the contact layout, at the unified individual layout, and all this information is in sync. Whenever it's saved, we don't need to think about it anymore. We just need to add new data and everything will be in sync. One things I want to share with you: when created a CI, a calculated insight, you should generate the list numbers of records. For instance, I started by adding the boat DMO, the boat reservation DMO. I could have started by adding the unified individual DMO, but in that case, the calculated insight will have created entries in the table for every unified individual ID. So keep it simple and use the correct joins so that you have the list number of records. Also, the unified individual must be included in the calculated insight if you want to include it inside your layouts. I say this here because we could have just taken the unified individual link, and which would have given me for a given individual the unified individual ID. But then I would not have been able to embed that on the contact level. Calculated insight are refreshed. You can refresh them up to 1 hour. They can be viewed. As we've seen in Data Explorer, as we've seen the graph set, the data graph, sorry, we can also see what's inside our calculated insight. And you can create calculated insight for a whole lot of information, for all the business needs, for instance, for your lifetime value. that may be very important, that if you really want to have access to an important metric, you create it at the unified individual level using the builder that we've seen, and there we will be that will be usable wherever you want. And one example that we here will be using is creating the display of this. And this is something very nice in True Data Cloud that I want to show you. And once we've done this, we're done with the data model, and we will be able to perform the rest of what we need to do inside Marketing Cloud on Core. So here we will go to the calculated insight object. So let's go back to Data Cloud here. Let's close some tabs. Okay, and here in Data Cloud, I will open my calculated insight, which is called Unified CSAT. And there you will see something very nice, which is the ability to explore this in CRM analytics. And when you are clicking this, you have out of the box a new lens which is created out of your data. So here we could select, for instance, to display the average. And then we could embed this information into a dashboard, which is basically something we already have done inside CRM Analytics. And so if I open that dashboard, which basically has just the lens I've created, just as I show you, here we have the north-down metric, which is based on the calculated insight that we just created. And this dashboard can be embedded into whatever Lightning page app you have. And this is what our renting company actually wants to see soar over the time. And this is something we will keep an eye on, because this will monitor the satisfaction of our customers. So this was for what we've created so far. We had a renting system with reservation system. We added a field into it, and then we were able to create a calculated insight at the unified individual level to average the distinct customer satisfaction we've already received. We displayed this and we aggregated this into the overall metric that we wanted to do. So now we have the data foundation that we need to make some marketing using this specific information. Some information I may share with you. When you added a Data Cloud widget inside the contact, for instance, you need to select the key, which will be joining your contact with Data Cloud, and then you will need to select some DMOs. It may take some time for them to appear, so don't be in a hurry. They will eventually appear, but it may take some time. And also the calculated insight, as we said, can be seen in CRM Analytics, can be embedded in dashboard, which is exactly as what we've seen so far. So this is where we are. So the data model is improved. We have everything we need. We created a calculated insight, defined the averages that we need at the unified individual level, added the widget at the contact level. And so we now have our north-down metric. So this is what we actually have. So next question is, we need to collect the ratings. That means we need something to be able to give to the customers, so they will be able to inform us how we did regarding the previous reservation that they made. So in Marketing Cloud on Core, we're going to build a form. So let's go back to Marketing on Core and let's do this. Okay, I go to the marketing and then I will create a form. How do we do this? Well, in Marketing on Core, you have the concept of campaigns that you have in a lot of other systems. Here you will create a new one. Okay, we'll just create it. We'll just call it customer satisfaction, CSAT, very simple. Okay, and then we've already been presented to this, but the key features here is that you knew a campaign was already a group of persons. This is the campaign member. That was a group of assets, your email, your landing pages. that was also collecting engagement, for instance, aggregated an engagement for every interaction user may have with your brand. But this is also here, and this is very specific to Marketing Cloud on Core. This is also a set of flow. And here you are given a set of flows which may allow you to do everything you need. And there we'll start by creating a form. So we will use the sign up form. This is what we'll select here. And we will be creating a form right here. More than a form, several assets will be created directly for me. Here you see the form. You also see that a landing page was created embedding that form, and we also have a flow that we will edit later on when we have made all the modification we need to do inside the form. So here the form is the first thing that is presented to us. So let's go to it. We are directed to something which is very common inside Marketing Cloud on Core. We will edit that form. Here we have the standard builder, the same as you may use in your landing pages, your emails, your WhatsApp message, your SMS, and so on. And when we created a form triggered flow, that is a flow which is triggered whenever that form is filled, we created the system, Marketing Cloud on Core, already created this for us. We may have already spoke about the data source. You may add a data source here. This is a handy way to have access to all the fields of a given object. This does not mean that there's a strong link between the form and the contact, for instance, if you select contact, because this is all done, and we shall see this in the form. So here, let's start by modifying the sign up here, and let's input, let's see how we did, for instance. Okay, here I don't need the first name because this is only a form to collect the customer survey, and I will need the WhatsApp channel. So here I remove all the fields, including the email address. I just skip the phone number. I remove this specific part. Yeah, I want to delete this, and here at the bottom level, I will just add tell us. Okay. So you may able to edit the style of this form by selecting a brand. This is what I do here. We have an example branding, which basically is very near the standard branding, but here you can create whatever brands you need. So here we simply have a form asking for a phone number. Of course, we need to collect the satisfaction, so the customer satisfaction. So we will need to add a field here. So let's go to the plus sign. Let's select the inputs. And here, let's select the drop-down. Here in the drop-down, let's call it satisfaction, for instance. There we have it. We'll keep the simple name as well. Okay, no placeholder, and I'll add here a distinct values. Okay, let's go from 0 to 9. Okay, okay, so let's go there, or let's do something much simpler. Let's go to 1 to 10. Okay, this is definitely something which take a few seconds. I may have created this before, but I wanted to show you the whole process. So I think it's best to do this. Allow me some seconds just to remove this. Okay, we're almost there. There we are. So here we have a form that we will save, which will give us the possibility to acquire the phone number and the satisfaction for a given customer. So once we've saved this, we may go out of there and we may go back to our campaign. So yeah, just click to campaign, reopen my campaign. Okay, and here I am redirected to my flow. Here, something which is very easy to do is to update the flow name. So here I'll call it CSAT form, for instance. I believe it's quite easy to give names because at the end you will have a lot of flows inside this campaign. So it's best to have names which tell you actually what it is. So there we created the form. Now let's go to the landing page, which was also created for us, that we will right now edit. Okay, we're in the same builder, so I think you start getting used to this. Something very important is that the default image here is what has been created by Marketing Cloud on Core, where I created the form triggered flow. And this is something I can definitely change. I just need to go to the CMS, search for the default image for the landing page, which is labeled that way. And then I override the content so that whenever I create new landing pages, the image I've selected there will be added in there. So here, very easy, distinct components. Here, of course, the form that we already added is selected here. I'll select a brand. For here, I'll stick with the example branding. Okay. And then I have the color of the font which changed here. And so here we have a landing page. I will not publish it right now. I will just save it. Then I might go back to our campaign. Okay, so let's go back to the campaign here. So what do we have so far? We have a form with a phone and a phone number and a satisfaction field so the user can tell us if we were a good service or not. Then we have a landing page which embeds this form, and we will see that we can embed this form in another site, for instance. And then we have the flow itself, which will take the information from the form and then will handle it here to update the rating of the person who filled the form. So how are we going to do this? We simply open the flow there. There will be some errors. This is quite normal because the flow expects the form to give him to be given some form inputs, and we remove them and add new ones. So of course, this is what we are going to change here. So for the beginning, we don't have much thing to add here. Here we'll remove the lead creation because this is what the Marketing Cloud on Core created for us, but we don't need that step. If you were sending an email inside the flow, you would need to have a create record at the beginning of the flow, but here we're not saying anything, we're just updating something. So let's delete this element here. Let's do the same thing for the consent object. So here, what are we going to do is that we are going to find the record, the contact record that filled the form. So to do this, we will do what we call a get record. Okay, so let's call it get rater, for instance. Okay, I will search into the Salesforce object. I know this is a contact object because if you remember correctly, the reservations are linked in our data model to the contact. So I'm looking here for the contact. Okay, contact. Okay, contact object. Where is it? It should be right there. There it is. Okay, and here we will not select any contact. We will select contacts who have the phone number. So let's take the business phone here, equal to what is input inside the form itself. And here in that type of flow, we have access to all the inputs from the form directly inside the flow. But here you can use it to whatever you wish. For instance, you may have selected in the form a data source, a lead data source. There you could use those information to, for instance, update a contact. This would make not much sense, but this is just to tell you that there is not a strong association between the contact object, if you select it as a source in the form, and what we are doing with this data inside the form. So let's take the form here, and we want to only select the first contact which matches this information. So here we'll sort it by last modified date, quite like what we do for the Pardot users by updating the last modified record if there are several records, and we here only keep the first one. And so this is what we are going to do. So we should have resolved a certain number of errors. Yeah, we have no errors there, so this is good. So For instance, we have the form inside the landing page. Whenever it is filled or submitted, we are triggering the flow, and inside that flow, we are, as a first step, as a first activity of the flow, getting who sent this information to me. And now what we are going to do, knowing this information, is that we are going to update the reservation record to reflect the rating that the user gave us in the form. So here I will add an update record. Let's call it update rating, for instance. Okay. There we go. We will specify the conditions here, and we will update the boat reservation object. We want here update every boat reservations. We will only update the ones that are empty. That is, we do not have ratings yet, and the one corresponding to the contact that we found from the information given in the field. So here we will try to match the contact here with the information we have from the gate rater. And in the flow, this is very important that you, at every step, you have access to the previous steps. So here we'll take information that we've obtained from the gate rater. And here, as we were selecting on the contact, here we are looking for the contact ID. So there it is, okay. And we also want that the rating here is as no value, so is null, and this is something very important. Even if you select the operator is null here you need to select a yes or no, and we will say is actually empty. And there, what will we do for all those boat reservation records matching this information? There we will add the rating here, and the rating we will add from the form. So we'll select the form, and here we'll select the satisfaction. And there we have it. Let us save that. Okay, so this is saved. There is no error. So I can now publish. Maybe I can now activate the flow, which will also publish the form. So let's do this. Here I'm told that the form will be actually published. Here I'm doing this, and there we are one step further. We already created the data model. Here we created a landing page, a form inside that landing page, a flow triggered by the submission of the landing page. And here we have access to a functioning flow, which will select the first contact with the phone given in the form and will update the records from the reservation that have no reservation, that have no rating, sorry, and which corresponds to the person who submitted the flow. So that was quite easy to do. Some things to say about the data sources I already told you. This is just to have access to the set of fields, predefined set of fields, but nothing, but you can work directly on the predefined types of input. You also have the images that you can change whenever you are generating an email or a landing page. Those images come from a CMS, and you can definitely change them. And the brand, to ensure brand consistency, is something you can store in the CMS and reuse from time to time to have the same font, to have the same color, and so on. So here we've built the landing page and the form. We've also adjusted the form triggered flow. Something very handy, which I did not show here. Maybe I'll show it in the next flow that we will be creating. If you want to edit, here it's activated, so it's read-only. But if you want to edit one activity, you may double-click on it. On the right side, you will have access to all this information. This is shorter than clicking on it and clicking on get information. Forms, once published, can be added to a landing page or to the external site. So here, let's go and see how we can embed that form that we've created inside the landing page somewhere else. For this, we go back to our flow, our campaign, and the first flow we have in it, and we will open the form there. And once opening the flow, there is an embed tab here with a given code that we may here copy and paste directly on our website. And there we will be able to reuse that form, not only in our specific landing page, but wherever we want inside our website, for instance. The landing page needs to be published so that you have access to it. So this is the last thing we need to do to tackle this step of collecting information from the customer. So let's go to the campaign. I could also here go to the content, open the CMS, and then open the landing page. Here I know it's referenced in the flow, so I will open it right there. So I can edit it. Oh, no, this is not, I don't want to edit it. I just want to, okay. View the record. Okay, and if I go to the URL here, as it's not published yet, I do not have access to the URL, so I need to publish that. I need to publish it. A lot of things will be published, and the default landing page template logo and template image is the one that you can change to suit your own needs and your branding needs. And here, distinct types of assets are also already published, but are embedded in this in publishing this content. So here, let's do this. Let's publish it now. That is, our landing page will be live. Okay. Here, if I have a good advice to give you is to wait because we think nothing's happening, but it's actually publishing the landing page. So there we now have a URL and we can open our landing page. And then we will be able to ask for customer satisfaction. Of course, we did not add the details here, but I think every marketer gets the idea. We have a set of components, images, and so on, and we just use drag and drop to create our own structure. Here we've been sticking with the default layout. So forms once published can be added to a landing page or embedded to your site. You need to publish the landing page to have access to the URL, and you can rename the flow. This is something we've already done, and we will do with the next flow we will be creating, because that way you have a view whenever you are opening a campaign of all the flow that will be available, and all the components of that campaign. So we've done the data model, we've done the data collection. So now let's promote our surveys. We created a reservation or update the reservation with a rating. After some time, we calculated inside, everything will be up to date. So, and now we not only can modify the rating from Salesforce, which is not very handy, but also from a landing page and from a form. And so what we need to do is to give access to that landing page. And so we will promote it inside our campaign. And to do this, we will create a segment triggered flow, which will be fueled and fed by a segment of person which I want to send this landing page to, so that they can fill the actual form. So let's go to this. For here, I'll create a segment that is all the persons that I want to send an email to. I already an email, a WhatsApp message in our case. So here I already created a segment because segments do not refresh in real time and they need to be published. So I wanted that segment to be already created so that we already have insight of data inside of it. So here, let's edit the rules, which is basically how the segment was created. I'll remove the rule and create here for you. Here in the related attributes, as it is linked to my individuals, I can directly take the click on the boat, and here on the boat reservation, and here I have all the information from the boat reservation DMO. I will what I want is that I want to send a message directing to the landing page for every user whose reservation date was yesterday. And I also want to here add only users with one rating empty. So here I will add another attribute inside this gray box stating that it has no value. And there we have it. I can refresh and recount the segment there. And here we'll see which individual is matched by that segment creation. There, to see if that is correct, let's go to the reservation report, and we should see in the list here only one reservation record with no rating and a reservation for yesterday. So definitely, Lauren Bailey needs to receive a message telling her that she can give us what she thought of our service and our rental boat service. And so this information will get into the flow, update the contact, and then everything in Data Cloud will flow back to our North Star metric, which is what we are trying to optimize. So here we have Lauren Bailey. We'll check this in a second. So I don't save the flow because it was already saved. So let's go back to our campaign, and now let's create a flow which will send to every segment user. So today this is Lauren Bailey. Tomorrow there will be other users, and I will send a WhatsApp message with a link to my landing page so that they can fill it and then have the whole machine run. So let's go back to our campaign here. Let's create a new flow. And for this, we will create a blank WhatsApp message. So here, as we've already seen, we have the schedule, we have the start trigger, and here we'll select the segment. We may create a new segment right here based on the campaign member, that is the individual, the contacts or the leads or the prospect actually in. I'm not sure the prospects are campaign members, but lead or contacts are in the specific campaign we are watching. We can create the segment via the segment builder, which is something we've already did, or use the quick filters, which is a handy way to create your segments. But if you need more complex segmentation, you may reach the limit of the quick filter. So here, let's select an existing segment that we've already created. So here I will be asked to select the segment. I'll select that one. I'll save it. And here will appear a very nice button giving me access to the segment itself and to the preview of the segment. And so I'll just open it, and here I'll see that I have my Lauren Bailey, which is the one matching the criteria I've been adding inside the campaign itself. So we've done here. We've said who would trigger the campaign. Now, what is the message that we want to send? Here we want to send a WhatsApp message. This is the goal of the flow. So as I said, we can change the label. So I call it promote rating, and I will add WhatsApp to remember that this is WhatsApp message. And here I will create my WhatsApp. So normally we would use an existing template message, but those needs to be created inside Meta, because you know WhatsApp is a Meta brand. Here we don't have this in this specific org, so we'll create what we call a new session message. Normally the session messages are only used to respond to a customer who asks you something. Here we will create a new one. Just remember that we should have used here the template, but it's not available because, as I said, that org is not linked to Meta. Here you select a message. So tell us how we did, for instance. Okay, tell us how we did. Then the description, and this is in the header that you can add the body. So here I will add some personalization. I will add a merge field. Here you don't have access to all of your graph set as you may have in the email. You just have access to the unified link. So let's do this very easy, and let's add the first name, for instance. There we are. Okay, please tell us how satisfied you are. Up. I'm not good at typing today. Okay, there we have it. And there we will simply take the landing page that we have here, the URL of the landing page we can obtain here because it's live or directly from the landing page itself, and we will stick it here. And we will sign the team, for instance. Okay. So here I've created a very simple WhatsApp message. Of course, as for every asset, I can preview how it looks like. So I may take my yesterday's reservation rating. Inside this, I will be presented with Lauren Bailey, which is the only one inside the segment. And here I have the URL shortened, as in every WhatsApp message. And I have my merge field, which work correctly. So I'm satisfied. I'll save this and publish this. Let's do this. Okay. There we are. So now we have a segment which is composed of unified individuals. This is very important. Only unified individual can be used there. And here, for instance, we're sending a WhatsApp message to whatever contact point email will be associated with the unified individual message. We need here to select some information. Here, I'll select that. Just wait for a second. Okay, and now will be the time to edit the flow itself. So let's open the flow, which basically does nothing more than defining the segment and the condition to enter the flow and sending a WhatsApp message. We will do several things later, and we will try to see if the form was actually filled, and if it was, we've done the job. If not, maybe we will add a reminder in the form of a second WhatsApp message. We'll do this in a second. So here we need to edit the flow. So let's create a recurring flow that is every day at the hour we specified here. The flow will run. Do we want the flow to have to take people who are already in the segment if the next day they are always in the segments, or do we want to wait until they exit until they exit the flow? Here, this does not work as in Pardot, for instance. If you exit the list, you exit the engagement program. Here, whenever you're still in the engagement in the segment and the flow runs, then you are, unless you click after completion, you are re-entered. So here we will click after completion. Here we also have fields that we may modify here. For instance, do we want to refresh the schedule whenever the publish is scheduled at the segment level? This is every 12 hours or 24 hours. Or do we want the flow to refresh it whenever, just before it runs? So we'll stick to that one immediately before running the flow. Okay, so this is okay for it. Here I may be able to save the flow. May take some time. Okay, here we do not have errors anymore. We just have warnings which we can simply ignore. And so whenever we've sent this WhatsApp email, we are going then to wait some time for just a given amount of time. So here, let's wait 3 days, for instance. So you see how easy it is to add steps to the flow, which is the same as the Salesforce Flow Builder, but here in the context of Marketing Cloud on Core, I'll add 3 days here. I'll save this. Okay. And here, what we are going to do is was the form that we presented to the user with that WhatsApp message, because yesterday they went in the boat and they did not give the rating yet, was that flow filled or not? And that means do we have the information inside the reservation? Is there a record related to the unified individual that is still empty? So here we'll have what we call a decision split. which will give us access to the data graph. So let's call it did the customer, for instance, rates the reservation. Okay, we'll give it an API name. The new outcome will become yes, and we will add the criteria just here, and the default will be called no. Okay, and in the yes, we will select inside our data graph, and this is why it is very useful whenever you are creating new data in Data Cloud to add them in the data graph if you plan to use them for personalization or for decision splits here. So here we'll take the related object, the unified link individual, that is, we'll go to the individual underlying that unified individual in the flow. Here we'll go to the unified individual and we'll take the boat reservation, and what we want is the boat reservation to be empty. So here we'll take to be null, blank, sorry. Here we'll take the blank one, and we need this to be true. So okay, there we have it. What should I have? I think it's okay. Okay, so let's see what we have here. Whenever the flow executes, and this is more a time scheduled flow than a segment triggered flow, because you need to select a time and a date and a frequency, 1 day or 1 week. So whenever a unified individual from the segment are injected, they receive a WhatsApp message. That is, every contact point phone numbers will receive the WhatsApp message. Then you will wait 3 days. And after these 3 days are over, we will see if the user already has or not filled the rating form for the reservation. That is, that's the question we are answering, and that we've been setting up inside the decision split is there a record, a reservation record, still having an empty rating? If yes, then I may add, I may stop. I mean, we did the job, and then all this information will go back to our North Star metric, and at the end of the day, our marketing team will see how we are performing. Of course, there are a lot of enhancements we can do this. We can do to this. We can ask the user why he was not happy if he was not. Here we can add them in a campaign, for instance, so that later on because they filled the form, we make them participate to a game. Well, whatever marketing team can imagine, we can do definitely there. And if not, then we would simply either send a new WhatsApp message or, for instance, add what we call path experiment. And in which case we would send to both of to a random half of the audience, for instance, an email, and to the other one a WhatsApp message to see which one performs best, for instance, in the context of sending a reminder message. So very easy to use there. I won't go too in depth into the path experiment there, but I think you get the idea and how you can construct whatever you will do whenever the segment will be triggering that specific flow. So let's go back to the key takeaways. Here, when you're creating a segment, it's important that you group all the criteria that are related to the same DMO inside the same box. Here we had, if you remember correctly, we had 2 criteria related to the boat reservation. You can also define a segment with exclusion, that is, do not include unified individual with those types of criteria. Container path is something which is quite advanced, because when you are going down the data model, there may be several paths to go from one object to another object, and so you may select it that way. It's recommended to take the shortest one, but sometimes it's not been the right choice, and so we had to modify it so that we actually have the segment members that we need. And segments can be previewed, even though it's not directly at the segment level. We've seen this in the message, or we've seen this in the in the flow itself. And of course, you can do this with a query or whatever options you wish. So the reminder we've sent inside the flow. First, we said that we wanted to refresh the segment immediately after running the flow. The WhatsApp message, you should use a template, but here we use a session message because we had not everything in place inside the org. And the data graph can be accessed from the flow. And if you wish, you can create several data graphs and change the default data graph inside the flow to have access to specific types of information. Maybe this is kind of an advanced use. Don't forget, if you use Boolean expressions, to add the true or false at the end of the line. This is something we have a tendency to forget. Choose, yeah, this one we already talked about. Do you want a unified individual already in the flow to be re-injected in the flow? Do we want to wait for the flow to finish? You may specify exit rules. That is, if the user is actually, the unified individual actually is in the flow and satisfies the criteria of the exit rule, then no longer will the unified individual go into the flow. And segment trigger flow, I do believe, are actually time triggered flow. This is just the way they are called, but this is not just the fact that they are added into the segment that injects them into the flow. The flow needs to run for this. Okay, and you can definitely do some A/B testing using path experiment, which will evolve and which will be described in later sessions. All assets must be published, because this is something we may forget. If you do not publish the landing page, of course, you won't be able to see it. And flows can be debugged, which is a very interactive way to but to see what happens and to correct the flow if you don't have the expected outcome. So before we jump to the Q&A session, here are the lessons, the overall lessons that we've learned. First, your data model. It must be as much anticipated as possible with a data cloud admin or by yourself if you want to use the platform and use data cloud for this. Data model is absolutely key, because here we added a field, we added that field inside data cloud and so on to construct at the end our North Star metrics. So really important to have this in mind. Also have in mind that time matters, because there are refresh times. The segment, the data graph, the flows, the calculated insights, they run at their own pace. And so to create robust flow, you must have this in mind. There is the option of creating real-time data graph and real-time segment. This is as an option in Marketing Cloud on Core, which, depending on your use case, may be something useful for you. We did not present too much AI here because first, this will be described in next sessions, and also because if you want to use AI, it's best to understand what's the underlying model, how it is going to be used. If you want an AI to do something, it's a good advice that you're able to do it by yourself. And so this is very, very important to have all the fundamentals which we gave here today. And the reporting, here we created a very basic customer satisfaction CRM, the CRMA dashboard. But of course, you have many types of reporting. You have the marketing performance dashboard, which you have at the campaign level or as a page inside the app. You have DC reports, you have CRMA lenses, which I've showed, and their dashboards. And there is the coming marketing intelligence on Core, which will give you insights based on the data stored inside Data Cloud. And I believe this is pretty much it for our demo today. So this is the time for the Q&A session. And of course, you have the upcoming session, 2 next week, and the last one will be a Q&A only session. So I'd like to thank you and to wait for your question. I'll just stop sharing. There we are. So please raise your hand and join us on stage so that we can answer, at least try to answer your questions.
That's wonderful. So I have set the access to unmute. So I think Thanks, Erin and Claudia, for answering the questions, and also Ruth and Kylie and everyone who are answering the questions on the chat. So we can take the live questions now. We'll
Okay.
start with Bilal. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So do you want me to? Okay. Hello, Bilal.
Yeah, hi Francis. Thank you so much for a great session. I just want to in the form which you set as is null is true. Okay, so once the customer submit the form, okay, then they didn't they can't uh, do the rating again for that particular customer. So it must be redirect to some other page or so that it will not basically it will not give the permission to give the rating again. So how you handle that? Did you create any other page for that so that the customer will not give any other rating?
Mm. You want to prevent double submission of the form for the same rating? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, yes.
Well, I made some shortcuts because we only had 1 hour, but if that happens and all the reservations are already rated, then in the flow, you would not get any result from the get records associated to that user, and so you would not update anything. So there would need to add a decision split to know if the get record gave you records or not, and depending on that, you would update or not. This is the way it should be handled, and I made a shortcut because I did not want to take too much time.
Okay, and so it must be like a redirect to some other page. So once the form is submitted to the other landing page or somewhere else. So we can do that, correct?
No, whenever the form is submitted, you have either you redirect to a new page, but you can't redirect to a specific page depending on what your user input. I think it's not possible at the time being, but you can display a message, and in that message you can say that you updated the rated. Thank you, even though it was already done.
Okay. And one more question, so the URL which for the form, can we edit it for with a brand URL or something? I think it is not possible or what?
For the landing page, you mean?
Yes, yes.
Well, for the landing page, there are two parts. Domain you can create your own domains. And Claudia already explained this in the last session that there is an hash key at the end of the URL, which you can remove, but you got to do this, if I remember correctly, before saving the landing page for the first time. And there is also some vanity URL, if I remember correctly. Quite not sure about that, which may be able to specify what, for SEO reasons, for instance, to specify what you want at the end of the domain.
Yeah, that's right. It's just important that you do that before you publish the landing page for the very first time, because once it's published, you can't change that any longer.
Okay. Does that answer your questions?
Yes, yes, thank you.
Great, thank you. So who's next? HCK.
Hi, Francis. I'm Harish. So I have a question. So we have in Salesforce we have Pardot, and we also have Marketing Cloud engagement, right? So Marketing Cloud, like MCG is like more connected to Pardot, or is it to MCG? Which is like, or is it going to be merged?
Well, it's a great question. From Data Cloud, you can create segments, and those segments can be sent to Pardot under the form of dynamic lists, or can be sent to Marketing Cloud engagement as data extensions. So from Data Cloud, which is where Marketing Cloud and core data are stored, you can actually send send customers or prospects inside Marketing Cloud and Core, and inside Marketing Cloud account, inside Marketing Cloud engagement, and inside Marketing Cloud account engagement. And in the other way around, from Marketing Cloud account engagement, you can install data kits so that your engagement data, your emails, your forms, your email clicks, your landing page submission, and so on, are gathered inside Data Cloud. I'm not sure if this feature also exists in Marketing Cloud engagement. I'm more of a product guy, as you may know. But definitely there are flows and there are things like prospect which can be shared between Data Cloud, that is Marketing Cloud on Core, and Marketing Cloud engagement and account engagement.
Okay, so again, like, sorry to come back in. So is Pardot gonna be purged? Is it something that like MCG will replace Pardot? Is that something on the line? Like, I'm just asking, like, or
This
it's
is
gonna
more
be
a question
it's gonna be there.
This is more a question for
Yeah.
Salesforce guys.
Yeah, this is
Okay.
so those types of questions, let's take this offline. Let's
Okay,
please
thank you,
give
Gilda.
space
Yeah.
for others to kind of jump in
Yeah.
and ask about
Thank
what
you.
the demo. Thank
Thank-
you.
Yeah, thank you.
Who's
Meera,
next?
please go
Tamira.
ahead.
Hey, I have a question here, right? Especially in and around the SMS part, right? In, let's say, for in Marketing Cloud, there are only 13 vendors for who will be able to provision SMS Connect in a Marketing Cloud, right? Marketing Cloud engagement, I mean.
Yeah, we will be as in Marketing Cloud engagement, in Marketing Cloud on Core, you will be able to send SMS, provided that you've have a short code, that you've already bought a short code or a long
Okay,
code.
so the provisioning of the short code is the same process as MCE, right? We have to reach out to those 13 partners who are there who can set it up for us, at least in US.
You mean, do they cost the same thing?
Cost is the second part, but even if I'm a partner in Marketing Cloud engagement, I will not be able to do it. Only those 13 designated Salesforce partners will be able to provision that short code in US at least.
Sorry, I don't get your question.
Okay. So in United States, not any partner will be able to implement the Marketing Cloud Mobile Connect for SMS or texting.
So to provision a short code SMS, you do still have to work with an approved partner. The long
Okay.
code SMS provisioning process is self-service and Marketing Cloud Growth.
Oh, okay. So fine. Yeah. Thank you, Erin. That was I wanted to check.
Thanks, Erin.
We'll take the last two questions. Amira, please go ahead.
Thank you. It was very, very interesting. Thanks a lot.
you.
I have one question about when scheduling a recurring flow. Can you please explain the two possibilities for the option can rejoin flow? If you can explain with an example, please. For
Okay.
the can rejoin flow, the always and after completion.
Yeah. Well, let's say you created a segment, and in that segment you have one unified individual. You've created a flow, a recurring flow, and with multiple steps. And for instance, whenever a unified individual enters that flow, the total duration, maybe let's say 5 days. If you select the first option, re-enter the flow, then the first day the first unified individual will enter the flow, and then on the next schedule of the flow run, the unified individual will be added again in the flow, and so will be 2 times in the flow, and so for the next day, and so on for the next day. So if you select the other option, which is wait for completion of the flow, then in the second day, even though the unified individual is still in the segment, as it is already inside the flow, we will wait for the flow to finish to inject that user. And I can tell you that if I remember correctly, a third option is coming, which is not here, and I don't know when and if it will be delivered, but which is never. That is, if I enter the flow, then I will never enter another time in the flow, which is basically the default of a Pardot Engagement Studio, for instance.
Okay, so if, for instance, my campaign consists only of sending one email or a survey email without waiting for further steps, then if I choose always or after completion, it doesn't matter.
Well, if you choose always, it depends. It depends on what you want to do. Do you want to send the email every day? Or do you want to send the email just once?
Every day. in my case.
Oh, see, if you want to send the email every day, then you schedule the flow to run every day, and everyone in the segment at that time will be sent the email.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The last question, please, Vishnu, please go ahead.
Yes, Francis. It was a great session. I have three quick questions. First one is related to data cloud. So, how much time does it take to refresh the data once we have updated in Salesforce? Like, for example, like you have explained that like it would take 10 minutes, but my question is, when you change the lead status, right? So, once the lead status is changed, how much time does it take to reflect that in MCG?
Around 10 minutes if it is an incremental update. They happen to every 10 minutes. You can see the refresh rate when you're at the DSO level.
So it will automatically refresh, right? Within 10 minutes.
Yeah.
We
And
can also,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, like, do we also like can refresh it manually?
Yeah, sure. There is an option for
Okay.
this.
Like
And
running rule set, is that so?
sorry.
Running the rule set, like there is an option
Yeah.
called run rule set. Is that so?
Yes, you can roll the rule set manually. You can do this max 3 times a day, if I remember correctly. And the rule set will the resolution process will run once a day.
Okay. And I have one more question to regarding consent management. So for example, I have 100 leads. Okay. So I want to consent those 100 leads. So for now, I'm using a sheet so that I'm importing that to consent. Okay. So if at all we have a case like we would have 1 million records, how do we do that for consent management?
Then you would import the initial
Entire 1
consent
million?
using a file.
So we need to do that for entire records, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a way that we can do automatically?
There are ways to create consent from a flow. It's been shared on distinct Slacks. It consists of creating records inside the distinct DMOs. So maybe this is something you could use. That is, create a flow, add every unified individual in that flow, and then create a consent for every email or addresses or phones you have inside it. But this is something which is not official. That may work, but this is not something
Okay.
official.
Got it. And one last question, Francis, like for example, I have segmented using campaign members. So for example, I take 10 campaign members in a campaign. So by choosing campaign member segment, I create a segment. So for that, we will be showcasing the 10 records, right? So if I want to filter out from those 10 members, like the segment which is consisting of 10 campaign members, can we do that using the flow which is available in the campaign?
You could use a decision split
Yeah,
based on the data graph to decide
I didn't
which we
reply.
want to go on the right or on the left branch, and then
Okay.
handle them distinctly. Or you can create distinct segments so that you have all your users already segmented into 2 segments.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you, Erin, too.
Before we close out, I want everybody, if you're online, can we show some love to Francois? What an amazing, amazing job he did with just demoing from start to finish how to build a campaign. And in addition to that, also addressing questions from the audience. We do have Kylie Yancey from Salesforce who also wanted to jump in and share some thoughts as well. Kylie, take it away.
Yeah, thanks so much. I just want to give a huge thank you to everyone here. It's amazing to see the enthusiasm. Francois, Erin, Claudia, incredible, amazing job as per usual. So appreciative of the partnership. And I shared a few links in the chat around idea exchange and our community. So please stay engaged. We love to see this. And just from the wider team at Marketing Cloud, just so happy to have you all here and part of our community. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining. And as we close out, just a friendly reminder I take all your questions seriously and all the feedback seriously. So I will be taking everything that you've posted in the chat and putting in a document so that not only do the presenters have access to it, but also folks internally here at Salesforce. And once again, thank you to everyone for joining us. I know for some of you it's early in the day, late in the evening, late at night. Some of you are even on vacation. I spoke to a couple of people who said, Gilda, I'm on the beach, but I'm still joining, and that's fabulous. I wish I was on the beach as well. Once again, thank you, Francois. Thank you, JB. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, folks from Salesforce, for joining. Thank you, Claudia. We are looking forward to seeing everybody same time next week on Tuesday. I think, Aaron, you'll be up presenting. We're looking forward to that as well. More demos, more key takeaways. So be prepared. Please share this with all of your friends, colleagues, community as well. And we will see all of you back at the MC Learning Camp Slack channel. Thanks again.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.